Hello and welcome. I'm Sarah, the voice that guides you into each episode of You're Probably Right. If this is your first time here, I'm glad you found us. This show has been running for years, built from real experiences, real questions, and the moments in life that shape who we become. Whether you're going through something, healing from something, or trying to understand the choices that brought you here, you're in the right place. Nothing rushed, nothing random, just honest conversations that meet you where you are. In a moment, you'll hear from MCM. He's the mind behind this space, someone who thinks deeply about people, relationships, faith, and the quiet struggles we don't always talk about. Every episode comes from a place of reflection and years of lived experience, not trends or quick takes. So take a breath, settle in, and stay with us for a while. You might hear something that helps, something that challenges you, or something that reminds you that you're not alone. This is You're Probably Right. Let's begin.
What's up? This is MCM, and you're listening to You're Probably Right podcast. Apologies right from the get-go. I am experiencing a sore throat, cough, whatever you want to call it at this point. So I will do my best to make sure I don't cough into this mic, and I have my water here and I have some gum, so hopefully it won't happen too much. I don't really know because this is the first podcast episode that I'm doing with this particular cough. So I'm just saying, man. You know what? We're going to talk about giving and the different aspects, the different people, how it affects individuals, and so on and so forth. But first, I just want to say to you, my understanding when giving is the bottom line is that it is better to give than to receive. And that's just something that I was raised with, something that I've experienced, something that I've been taught, even in the scriptures where Christ gave the ultimate sacrifice. And who better to follow than him, right? So we'll get into this. I just wanted to say that, first of all, that it is better to give than to receive. But the problem is when your heart is not right in your giving, then everything becomes kind of shady. And when you have somebody who's receiving and maybe not for the right reasons, or they're somehow, I was going to say helping you give. Sometimes people know how to extract things from other people. And again, then that jades everything and shades everything and makes everything go sideways in most cases. All right, this is episode 290 of You're Probably Right. Thank you for hanging out with me. Please remember to like and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. So whatever platform you are on will say, oh, somebody likes it, and maybe bump me up a little bit. You know what I mean? Not asking for money or anything like that. And even if you crap out early, then you could probably still put a thumbs up on my episode. I would really, really appreciate it. Also, anywhere you can, you see those 5 stars, if you could give me anything closer to 5, if not just a 5, would be great. But I mean, you don't have to. However you feel, whatever your heart desires, really, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is going to happen. And I've been having a pretty good time, I could say, honestly, doing this podcast. And over these 290 episodes, I thought I was going to hit 300 pretty soon last couple weeks. But I mean, I've only been doing an episode a week lately, but I might ramp that up. But I'm not just going to push it. I'd rather, when it comes to my podcast, everything just kind of go organically anyways. So, I mean, if I stop on a weird number or if it takes me a while to get to a number, 300 sounds really nice right about now, but I mean, 1 is good. I mean, if there's one episode of this podcast that has inspired you, helped you in some way, shape, or form, whether, again, as I've always said, negatively, like how not to do things, the experience that you do not want to have, or maybe the opposite of that, and hopefully I've done something good here. Again, this episode and all other episodes are for entertainment purposes only. I might sound dead serious as a judge, as my father would say, but at the end of the day, every episode is for entertainment purposes only. I do not intend to or try to offend anyone, but if you are offended, it's something to think about, but understand that it isn't done intentionally intentionally as in a personal attack at you or people like you. It's just something that came out in this episode. And I mean, if you don't like my podcast, there's thousands more anyway. I don't know if you heard all that. Anyways, here we go. So basically, the thought process around this episode was the unspoken contract of giving from all aspects. And we're going to get into it right now. Listen, most people think the pain starts when someone says no. But a lot of the time, the pain starts when nobody says anything at all. I'm telling you. Just think about it in your life. There's many times when maybe you thought somebody would say something and they said absolutely nothing. Maybe you thought you were going to hear from somebody at a certain time and you heard absolutely nothing. It's pretty frustrating, isn't it? If you got to think about it, and you got to think about it. But, I know what I'm saying, man. Listen, you give help, you show up, you spend money, you spend time, you spend thought, and then the moment passes like it never happened. Have you ever gone out of your way? I know I have, because I can honestly just think of the different times I've gone out of my way. And I'm off script obviously already, but that's the natural thing with this podcast. It's me talking to you, and we could be anywhere, as I've always said to you. You're cutting the grass, washing the dishes, trying to fall asleep, just waking up, driving to work, whatever, on the train, somebody staring at you in your face. But most of us can think about the time when we went through like 14 things or 5 things, or it took 5 hours to give something very, 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 very simple, maybe costly. But the problem is, it's not really a problem, but I would say it's at least interesting, because I've done this and I don't find it a problem, but it's just, sometimes you've gone through like painstaking efforts to do something for someone, and they have no idea what you went through to get them to where they are. And that could be a mother giving birth. And, maybe the child's at, 20 now, and they've just stolen your car, and they told you where to go. And you're like, this kid does not understand what I went through to give birth to them, to raise them, to provide for them, and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking from a different, so hopefully this will kind of jog your memory. Maybe something that you did to someone else. Maybe there's someone you need to apologize to. I don't know. But I was just thinking, it's kind of funny. Sometimes you've given and you've gone through so much, but the humbleness maybe, or the meekness in you, you don't pull the person's card. That sometimes these things have been done for you as well, obviously, and maybe you just had no idea what somebody went through to give you something that seems so simple on your side of things. But that's something definitely to think about for sure. But sometimes it makes me laugh when I know that I've done, and somebody like just, cool, all right, and they put it in their pocket. It's like, wait a second, man, do you know what I went through to get that? All right, anyhow. So as I said, you give help, you show up, you spend money, you spend your time, you spend your thought, and then the moment passes like it never happened. No acknowledgement, no warmth, no signal, nothing landed. Just life moving forward. And that silence can hit harder than a direct rejection. Like, this isn't good enough, this isn't clean enough. Because rejection closes the door. Silence leaves the door cracked open and makes your mind fill in the gaps, which is also bad, I guess. Yeah. Again, another story, because I don't have too many stories, but I just got to tell you this one. I remember one time it was an ex. I literally spent, I would say, no less than 3 to 4 hours cleaning, not my house, their house, and taking footprints off of a close to white carpet, scrubbing, cleaning everything all over the whole place. And then the funny thing is, when they came home, it's like they chucked their keys over here, chucked their coat over there, didn't notice that, oh yeah, the floor looks good. And it was like, man, you have any idea the stress, the pain I've gone through, the painstaking efforts of what I went through to get this place this way, and you barely even recognized it or noticed. But then, it kind of checks your own heart to say, okay, so why did you do it? Well, I can honestly look back and say I probably did it definitely to impress them. Maybe to see my importance in the situation, but also to give a helping hand. But I think more honestly, if I really want to be honest about it, it was probably more to impress them. I think that's probably the worst thing that can happen when you're trying to impress someone by doing for them or giving to them, is that they don't even acknowledge that you did anything at all. They're not rejecting it. It's just like, okay, well, okay, cool. Didn't ask you to do it, so here we are. Now what? Anyhow, yeah. Anyway, this episode is not a holiday episode, so don't think just because maybe you're looking at it at Christmas time, you're like, oh, this is a Christmas thing, the Scrooge or Ebenezer Scrooge or something. No, it's not about Christmas. It's not about birthdays, anniversaries, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, or any single day in the calendar. This is about something that happens all year long in every kind of relationship, and often multiple times a year for most adults, and especially if you're a giver. It's about the ongoing reality of giving and receiving, and what it does to people, what it does to them psychologically, I'd say, when the exchange is clean, and what it does when the exchange is a little bit murky. Because giving is not just an action. Giving is a message. Sometimes it is a message of care. Sometimes it is a message of interest. Sometimes it is a message of apology. Sometimes it is a message of power. Sometimes it's a message of guilt and relief. A lot of us looking for relief. A lot of us looking to apologize a lot of the time. Sometimes it's a message of, I do not know how to be close to you, but I can do this thing. And the problem is that the receiver is not always reading the same message the giver thinks they're sending or was intended in the first place. So today, I want to map out the whole thing. Dating, marriage, friendship, situationships, long distance, new connections, old connections, males giving to females giving to males, and the social expectations that hover over it. I want to talk about the types of givers, the types of receivers, the types of misunderstandings that happen when one person is speaking the language of effort and the other person is speaking the language of distance, or the language of entitlement, or even the language of fear. My throat, guys. And I want to talk about what happens when there is no acknowledgement. Not because people are evil in most cases, although, sometimes it's avoidance, sometimes it's insecurity, sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's trauma, sometimes it's selfishness, sometimes it's simple thoughtlessness. Many times you do for people who are really close to you and they don't say anything, it's because it's almost like it's entitlement, but it's also closeness. Sometimes some people would do the same for you, and you think sometimes people have this thing in their mind that there's this unspoken thing. Because I am close to you, I don't have to say thank you, because if it was me, I would do the same for you and not expect thank you back. But you can't live like that, because you never know when somebody's down and out. Sometimes you never know the real effort that it actually took to give you something. So it's always best to be thankful. But whatever the reason, the outcome is often the same for the giver. Confusion, resentment, self-doubt, and that nasty mental loop of, did I do too much? Did I misread everything? And I'm being used and I'm being dramatic? Or am I being used or am I being dramatic? And why do I feel embarrassed for being generous? You ever had that? Feel like an idiot? You're like, wait a second, why did I do that? I'm looking like a fool at this point. This person's not even acknowledging it. They're not even half as gracious as I thought they would have been. You know, sometimes what we think people need is just something that they wanted, but they didn't need it. So therefore, all the weight that we put on it, it's not on it at all because they didn't need it. They just wanted it. Anyway, by the end of this episode, you should be able to look at giving and receiving in your life and see it clearly, without spiraling, without making it personal when it's not, and without excusing patterns that are quietly draining you. This is not a lecture. This is a map. And if you have ever felt that silence after generosity, you are going to know exactly why it lands the way it lands and what to do next. Okay, I'm going to go through 21 thoughts of the different aspects of this, okay? So the first one is giving is a social contract, even when nobody signs anything or nothing's even been talked about. So anyway, let us start here. In adult life, giving creates a contract, even when it's not spoken. The contract is not always fair and it's not always conscious, but it forms anyway, because humans are wired for reciprocity. We notice effort. We take note of it. It's data for us. We notice resources. We notice attention. So yeah, we will notice how much you had in the first place, what you gave out of, whether you gave out of abundance or whether you gave out of need. Big difference, right? It's like if you have $100 and you give me $1, it's $1, but it came out of $100. Now, depending on what that $100 is to you, right, it's different, right? Where is if you have $5 and you give me $1, you know what I mean? Right. So that's what I'm saying, where I'm saying giving out of abundance or giving out of your own need. So we do notice resources. We do notice attention. We notice sacrifice. Although many of us don't concern ourselves as like the situation a person's giving out of, which would probably change our attitude many times. And when we receive it, something inside us registers that a balance is shifted. This is why most cultures in most places have versions of thank you, Dankeschön, right? No, it's just language. Some version of acknowledgement, some version of reciprocation. It is not just manners, it's a social repair mechanism. It tells the giver, I see you. It tells the receiver, I'm not ignoring what you did, and it closes a loop. Now here's where things get complicated, because the contract isn't always, you gave me this, so I owe you that. Sometimes the contract is emotional, sometimes it's social, sometimes it's romantic, sometimes it's sexual, sometimes it's status-based, sometimes it's future-oriented. Yeah. Like, I will remember this, or I will show up for you later. When giving is healthy, the contract is not painful. It is light. It is mutual. It is human. It builds trust. It builds connection. It builds goodwill. When giving is unhealthy, the contract becomes a rope. One person feels tied down and the other person feels dragged. So we have to talk about the two sides very honestly, I guess. Why people give and why people do not acknowledge. So, why do people give clean motives and not so clean motives? There are givers who give because they love simple. They like being generous. They grew up around generosity. They see giving as a part of being a good person. They are secure enough that they do not need dramatic response. But they still expect basic acknowledgement because that's normal and that's their normal boundaries. Like you say thank you, right? Or otherwise maybe you don't get anything ever again. There are givers who give because they want connection, they want closeness, they want to be remembered, they want to matter. They might not say it out loud, but the gift is a bridge. It is a way of saying, I am here, do you see me? You know, and the funny thing about that, here you go, personal story. But personally, I think, that's probably something I've done wrong as a person who gives a lot just freely. I can give you the shirt off my back, you know what I mean? As long as I can hide my belly. Uh, but you know, I think when you give into someone's life, like I think the big gifts, I think there are honestly wife gifts, husband gifts, and significant other dating gifts and all that. I'm just saying, like, you don't want to give into someone's, like, personally, this, I guess I can't say for anybody else, but me, I don't want to give something so great, so shiny, something that they can't ever get anywhere else, that this person is forced to use it even when they get into, like, let's just say it was your girlfriend or something, and now they're married and they're still wearing your ring. You know what I mean? Like, I know some people don't care, so they would probably be like, "Oh, well, yeah, she still wears her ex-boyfriend's ring, even though we've been married for 10 years." You know what I mean? Me personally, I would love it if I could replace that ring, and you could either keep that and put it far, far away. Even I can't necessarily expect you to mail it back to the person and get in contact with them, but I think I think it's better for you not to overgive, because a lot of sometimes the things you give people hold such emotional value in their lives that end up they end up with all these things from different people in different parts of their life, especially if it's the opposite sex, and they enter this new committed long-term life, marriage, whatever, with all these remnants and not even remnants, all these different artifacts and emotional things, objects from various, I guess, guys or girls in their life. And I just don't think that's healthy for a marriage. That's just me, though. Anyway, there are givers who give because they're anxious. They do not feel secure in their bond, so they try to buy safety through usefulness. They give to reduce their fears of being forgotten. They give to reduce fears of being replaced. They give to reduce uncertainty. For anxious givers, giving is not just generosity, it is emotional regulation. There are givers who give because they feel guilty. This is the one you mentioned many times, many people I've heard on their their little messages. Um, and it's real. Some people give because their conscience will not leave them alone until they do. They see someone struggling, or they see someone they think they should support, or they feel they have done wrong in the past, and they cannot settle until they do this deed that quiets that internal voice. Many of us are fighting internal voices all the time. And here is the uncomfortable part. Sometimes they are not even responding to the real person. They are responding to a voice in their own head. They imagined of the voice of what the other person might think of them if they did nothing, or they imagine voice of society judging them, or imagine a voice of their own moral standards. And that's why, I think if you look at it and somebody gives you something, or you give somebody else something, do your best to let them know there's no strings attached, and you hold it in your heart that way as well, because then you're going to end up, I think in the Word of God, I think it says that you should give to people who cannot necessarily give back to you, and I believe you should let them know, like, I'm giving you this, because it erases your giving when they I know everybody looks for reciprocity or whatever it is, but the giving that you do is so much greater when you give to someone something that they can't give back to you, or they can't equal, or they can't be even Steven, right? Because if I give you a break and you give me a break, well, then we're even Steven. What have I done? You know what I mean? Anyhow, so the gift is not only for the receiver, the gift is for the giver's nervous system many times. Once it is given, the giver can breathe again. The conscience quiets, the pressure lifts, the giver can stop thinking about it, at least for a while, probably until the next thing, right? There are givers who give because they want control. They might not call it control, They might not call it support, but the pattern is when I give, I become central. When I give, I become difficult to challenge. When I give, you owe me attention. When I give, I can rewrite the story later and say, look at what I did for you. Don't fall into that trap, guys. Even if it's not your heart, sometimes people get angry and they say, look, I did this, I did that. And then the other person says, I know you did it for, and you get into one of those deals. Never, 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 never talk about what you've done for someone to their face, because even to other people, just once you've given, let all credit never come for yourself by yourself. I know that sounds weird, but listen to it again, you'll understand what I mean. There are givers who give because they want status, they want to be seen as generous, they want the image, they want the identity. They might post it, they might mention it, they might drop hints about it. For them, giving is a performance, even if it still helps someone. There are givers who give because they do not know how to relate any other way, right? That's just their thing. This is very common in dating and marriages. Some people are not good with emotional presence, conversation, vulnerability, or patience, but they can do a tangible thing. They can fix, buy, provide, solve, so they give because it is the only language they feel competent in. Now, none of these motives make someone evil, but they change what giving means, because if you are giving primarily to regulate anxiety or guilt or control, then you are not giving cleanly. I know it feels like you're doing a good thing, but it's still not clean. You are giving with attachment, and attachments create expectation, even when you tell yourself they do not. Third, let's go. Why people receive and why they sometimes do not acknowledge. This is an interesting one, right? This is when somebody doesn't say thank you. Sometimes they pretend like nothing happened at all. Why, right? Are they evil? Many people just chalk them up as evil, selfish, or, gold diggers and all the other different things people say about those people. Listen, on the receiving side, there are people who acknowledge because they are socially regulated. They were raised with manners, yes, but more than that, they understand reciprocity. They understand that effort matters. They understand that being appreciative protects relationships. It does. There are receivers who do not acknowledge because they are avoidant. For an avoidant person, acknowledging can feel like a hook. Oh, you got me. It can feel like dependency. It can feel like debt. It can feel like closeness that they are not even comfortable or want yet or ever. So they downplay it, normalize it, or ignore it. They might even change the subject very, very quickly. Not because they do not care, but because caring feels unsafe, which is sad, I would say, but I know it is some people's reality. There are receivers who do not acknowledge because they are entitled. So it's like, yeah, of course you gave me the I don't know, of course you gave me a drink because it's your job or whatever. They believe people should help them. They believe they deserve it. They might not say it out loud, but the energy is, of course you did. You should. There are receivers who do not acknowledge because they are overwhelmed. Yeah, actually, yes. There are people who are overwhelmed. They have too much going on. They are emotionally flooded. They have low capacity. They are in survival mode. In those moments, they may genuinely forget to close the loop. Such a simple thing for other people, but this person going through a difficult time, they forget. It's not ideal, but it's real, right? And the reason why it's not ideal, because if you really need the help, but forget to say thank you because you just need it so badly that maybe you're eating the slice of pizza because maybe you haven't eaten in 2 weeks. So you just, I just need this. I'm very happy. I'm very thankful for this food, but I just need to get it in me. I don't have the time to say thank you. Like, and a reason why I'm saying it like that, I remember one time where I was a college student and I had just got what they call up here in Canada OSAP. And I think I got my grant or my loan, but whatever it was, I just paid my tuition. And I was walking downtown Toronto and I said, let me go and get a pizza slice or whatever it is. So I got myself 2 slices of pizza and a drink. I sat down by this dude. I wasn't even paying any mind to him because I just wanted to get this pizza in me, right? Sat down, took a drink of the drink and took a bite of the pizza. And look at this guy and he's staring at me. I'm like, why is this guy staring at me? I'm like, what's up, man? And he's just looking at me. I said, you want a slice of pizza, man? Or something like that. He's like, yeah. So I'm like, do you want the drink too? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, man. So I slid the drink over. I didn't even go like to say to buy more. I want to get the heck out of there at this point. Just at that age, I was like, man, come on. So it was a he's probably like a 40, 50-year-old man. I'm like 18 or whatever, 19. So I just slid drink over. I slid the pizza that I bit and the untouched slice as well right over to him, and he just started scarfing it down. Didn't say thank you. And you know what I mean? It's like, oh, how dare he? But not me. I didn't feel that way at all. But I'm saying, I could imagine somebody saying it. But no, he was homeless. You know what I mean? And it wasn't that he wasn't thankful. He just really needed to eat. And I accept that. And it's the funny thing is, it's just when people are not like on their ends or on their last, it's sometimes hard to receive that they literally took or received and didn't even at least just say thanks, or cool or something. Nothing. There's just nothing. It's not ideal. The reason why it's not ideal is because maybe the person won't do it again because they'll feel that you don't appreciate it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that every time you meet a homeless person, they're gonna, or that they're going to behave that way. It's just that guy was just that way. Maybe he knew what he was doing. I don't know. Anyhow, there are receivers who do not acknowledge because they are unaware what the gift means. Yeah, so when they don't understand what it means, maybe they're not used to people giving them stuff, so they don't know how to take it. This matters, of course, in dating. If a person feels that a gift is loaded, they may avoid acknowledging it because they do not want to send the wrong signal, like, oh, here we are. No, we're not we. I'm still me and you're still you. So they don't say anything. You get it? They may fear that a strong thank you will be interpreted as a consent to more, right? There are receivers who do not acknowledge because they are using. This exists too. Yeah. They accept benefits while giving minimal effort, minimal care, minimal presence. Their strategy is to keep things ambiguous. They love that. Should be a clothing line for some people. Ambiguous. I bet it is. Google it. Anyway, because ambiguity also allows extraction without commitment. And then there is the receiver who acknowledges privately, but not publicly, right? The people who do that privately and they don't want anybody else to know that they said thank you to you, but they just kind of, anyhow, that can happen in workplaces, clubs, different institutions, just different in context or different social settings. They might not want others to see closeness, so they won't tell anybody what you did for them, right? They might fear gossip. They might fear being judged. They might fear that people will assume there is something going on or assume something is more than it actually is, right? So you can see already, right? Silence can mean many things, but for some reason, most of us just go right to that. Oh, they have no manners. But from the giver's side, silence often lands the same way. Guys, I can honestly tell you I'm not going to get to 21. I'm going to do my best to see how far we can go. Why silence after giving lands like rejection? Let us be very clear about this because a lot of people gaslight themselves here. Silence after you give can feel like rejection because your brain is looking for a signal that you matter. When you give, you are exposing something. You are exposing effort. You are exposing investment. You are exposing hope. Even if you do not call it hope, and if nothing comes back, your brain interprets it that is, I offered something meaningful and it was not worthy of a response. This is why you can give something small and still feel the sting. It is not about the dollar amount. It is not about, it is about social meaning. A thank you is not about politeness. It is about recognition. It tells you that your action has reality in the other person's mind and possibly life. Without it, you feel invisible. And invisibility is painful because it is socially unsafe. We are social animals. Being unseen in social exchange triggers the same internal alarm system as being excluded. It's like, you ain't nobody. You ain't part of that club. You're just over here. Number 5, the dating aspect. What gifts mean when relationship is not defined? Now let us go into dating, because this is where most confusion happens, right? In early dating, gifts can mean interest, seriousness, and intention. But they can also mean manipulation, rushing, right? Overgiving, testing. Some people give early to show genuine care. Others give early to accelerate intimacy. Maybe nothing's gone on and you're hoping for something to go on, so you give, right? Others give early to buy access. Others give early to claim territory. The receiver, on the other hand, may interpret the gift based on their own history. A secure receiver may think that it's thoughtful, thank you, and then proceed normally. An anxious receiver might think, wow, they really like me. I must secure this. An avoidant receiver might think, this is pressure. This is closeness. I need space. An entitled receiver might think, good, keep it coming. This is why mismatches happen. One person gives as a signal of connection, the other person receives as a signal of pressure or entitlement or convenience. Hold on, let me just move this for a second. Just make this bigger. I don't know if I can. Let's see. Come on. Good. All right. I just want to move this down. I want to see how much strength we have. That's better. All right. Now, sorry. Now, there is a specific pattern that creates the most damage: the ambiguous connection. Not official, not labeled, not committed, but emotionally close enough that giving starts happening. In those connections, gifts become a substitute for clarity, right? Instead of saying, what are we? People give. What are we? People give. Instead of saying, what do you expect? People give. Instead of saying, I like you, people give. And the problem is that giving cannot replace naming, because giving creates a contract, but it does not define the terms. So the giver assumes one set of terms. The receiver assumes another. Then silence after giving becomes the conflict, because both have something else going on in their mind, right? Think about 6 here. The marriage aspect, when giving becomes a baseline and gratitude disappears. In long-term relationships, including marriage, gifts are an effort becomes woven into daily life. People pay bills, people do chores, people drive kids, people handle emergencies, people run households, people cook, people hold the emotional climate. People do laundry, like, household, but you know what I mean? In a healthy marriage, gratitude remains alive. Not because the partner needs constant praise, right? But because acknowledgement protects the bond. It prevents efforts from turning into resentment, and also little weasels from weaseling in your situation, your marriage. Yeah. It's like, I did this for my husband yesterday and he didn't say anything. Like, you know what I mean? Or I gave him the same meal I gave him the same meal last night that I just gave you part of my lunch, and you're so thankful. When I cooked it for the bum, he didn't even say thank you. He didn't even grunt. Right. So that's why it is always important to be thankful. At least say it, even if you're not. Just saying. In an unhealthy marriage, giving becomes expected. Appreciation fades. One partner becomes the default giver, the other becomes the default receiver. Sometimes the roles swap depending on the domain, finances, childcare, intimacy, emotional labor. But when gratitude dies, resentment starts to grow. And here's the substitute, the subtle piece anyway. When gratitude disappears, the giver often stops giving cleanly, right? They start giving while keeping score now. Because like, okay, I'm gonna have to pay attention now. They start giving while silently angry. They start giving while waiting for recognition that never comes. That is when gifts and efforts become weapons, even if they are never thrown. Number 7, social aspect. Reputation, gender, norms, and what people think. Now the social layer. Society has script. Men are often expected to provide. Women are often expected to appreciate. But those scripts are inconsistent, and in modern dating has been made them even more confusing. Some people believe a man should pay, period. Some believe everything should be equal. Some believe the one who invites should pay. Some people believe men paying is chivalry. Some believe it is patriarchy, of course. Some believe women accepting is normal. Some believe it is taking advantage. And the funny thing is, it's sad when, okay, I'm not going to say it's definitely not sad if somebody doesn't agree with the way that I've been raised, I believe, to forgiving, or the way that I've experienced it and how I believe it should be done. Maybe even they don't believe how, like, the word of God says it should be, like just reading the Bible, and like how giving sacrificially and all that, and giving to those who can't give back. Maybe they don't believe in all that. But when it gets kind of murky, honestly, for me, is when people they say they're on this code over here, but they flip-flop when it suits them. That's the one that's really ambiguous and really annoying, because they don't even agree with their own statements, their own morality, whatever it is that they claim. They just do it. It flip-flops, as I said, when it suits them. So when a man gives to a woman, people may interpret it as romantic or romance, pursuit control, generosity, desperation, or status. When a woman gives to a man, people may interpret it as rare, impressive, mothering, pick-me behavior, desperation, biological clocks, and all those things going on, or evidence she is serious. The social lens is not neutral. This is why people acknowledgement can be complicated. If a woman publicly thanks a man for a gift, some people will assume they are together. If a man publicly thanks a woman, some people will assume he's being taken care of. People fear judgment, so they hide gratitude. Then the giver feels erased. That is the social trap. Number 8, male giving to female. Common meanings, common misreads. Listen, let us talk about male giving to female, because it has specific patterns. A man may give because he is attracted. He may give because he wants to court. courting is, right? Google it. It's not necessarily, it's not with the judge and the gavel. Guilty. No. He's trying to court, trying to relate. He's trying to get together and build something, a marriage, hopefully. He may give because he wants to show seriousness. He may give because he believes it is what a man should do. He may give because it makes him feel useful. He may give because he has guilt about not being present emotionally. He may give because he wants access to time, attention, and possibly intimacy. A woman receiving may interpret it as love, pressure, obligation, or simply normal behavior depending on her worldview and her history and what she's used to. Some women feel respected by provision. Some women feel controlled by it. Some women feel uncomfortable accepting anything that creates a sense of debt. Some women are fine receiving, but will keep the connection at arm's length, which creates the silence problem. When the man receives no acknowledgement, he often does not just feel unappreciated. He feels misread. He feels used. He feels like his intentions were ignored. That can trigger anger, shame, or withdrawal. That's right. You gave and now he's going to withdraw because you didn't even flinch. Okay. Number 9, female giving to male. Common meanings and common misreads. Let's go the other way. A woman may give because she is nurturing. She may give because she wants to care. She may give because she wants to show loyalty. Maybe she gives because she wants to be as even Steven as possible. She may give because she wants to secure the relationship. She may give because she thinks she needs to earn love. She may give because she feels guilty about her own boundaries. Like if she says no to intimacy, she compensates with gifts of favors. This happens. A man receiving may interpret it as love and devotion, or he may interpret it as pressure, or he may interpret it as she is trying to buy my commitment. Some men enjoy being cared for, but struggle to express gratitude because gratitude feels vulnerable. Some men were raised to believe they should not need anything. So when they receive, they feel weak. They feel they respond with minimization instead of thanks. It's kind of sad, but there's many people around that they just feel like something's happened to them and they have no control over it when they've just been given something. When a woman gives and receives no acknowledgement, it can land as humiliation for a lot of women because women are socially conditioned to read emotional cues. So when the emotional cue is missing, it feels like a statement like, you do not matter, but keep it coming. Number 10. Where are we at? We're at 45 minutes, guys. Whoa. I don't think I'm going to get all the way, but I'm trying. The secure person, generally stable, sometimes moody, and why they still hurt. Listen, you mentioned, let me see, 45 of those. All right. Listen, the secure person who sometimes gets anxious because everybody gets into moods. That's important. A secure person is not someone who never feels insecurity. A secure person is someone who can return to baseline. They can self-regulate. They can communicate. They can tolerate uncertainty without spiraling and losing their mind. But even secure people get hurt by silence after giving. You want to know that there was some effect, at least, like I did this. Maybe there's some work I did for you for an hour, and I don't know if there's any payoff for you or for me in the end, because silence violates social norms, right? A secure person expects basic acknowledgement in society. They do not need worship, no, because they're secure. They do not need theatrics, but they do need to close the loop at least. Here you go, thank you, great, and we move on with life. Some people just go, here you go, and they got it, and they said nothing, and now they're 50 feet away. Okay. All right. So when a secure person gives and gets silenced, they do not necessarily become anxious because they are insecure. They become anxious because something is unclean, something is undone. Clarity creates safety, and silence creates ambiguity. Ambiguity creates rumination. Yeah, they're thinking about it. Rumination creates anxiety. Here you go. You're up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Think about this thing. Yeah. The anxious giver, the taker, and the fixer, the conscience and the quieter. Okay, now let us go deeper into this giver, the giver who gives to quiet conscience, because this is one of the most interesting moves, or motives, I should say. There are people who cannot reset, or they can't rest. They know someone is lacking. They may not even like the person that much. They might not want closeness, but the thought of not helping creates inner noise. They imagine what the other person's conscience would think of them, or what society would think, or what God would think, or what their family would think, or what their own moral code would think. That imagined judgment becomes unbearable to them. They give not to build a bond, but to quiet the internal courtroom going on in their mind, in their heart. Once they give, they feel relief. Relief is the key emotion. Not warmth, not closeness, not relief. No, just relief. And here is the risk. If you are giving for relief, you are likely overgiver. Guilty. Did I say that? Because relief only comes when you feel you've done enough. And the definition of enough keeps moving. This is how people end up giving to someone who does not even want it, or does not respect it, or does not acknowledge it. The giver needs to give, the receiver was incidental. If this is you, you need to hear this clearly. Your generosity may be normal, but it may not be free. And if it's not free, it will create resentment later. Yep, in your heart. Yeah, when they don't choose you. Think about it. Yeah. Maybe they're riding around in that car with somebody else. Yeah. Number 12, the avoidant receiver, why they feel like it's a trap. Hold on a second, guys. This is a long one, and I'm just going to let it be long. And if you're still here, then obviously this is interesting to you, so I feel no way I'm okay with that. Hopefully you are. All right, here we go. Avoidant receivers often struggle with gratitude because gratitude creates emotional connection. Maybe they don't want emotional connection. In most cases, they don't. It is a bridge. It implies I need you. And for some avoidant people, needing anyone feels dangerous because they've been taught that, they've learned that at least, needing anyone, eventually they're going to let you down. So they receive, but they minimize it. They move on quickly from whatever it is. They avoid the moment. They might even act like it was nothing. They are not always trying to hurt you. They are trying to avoid emotional vulnerability. The giver experiences this as coldness. The receiver experiences it as self-protection. That's a mismatch. It's where the pain actually lives. 13. The entitled receiver. When the relationship becomes extraction. Entitlement looks like this. The receiver accepts, expects, and escalates. They do not mark effort. They do not reciprocate. They do not close the loop. They keep the giver chasing. They keep the giver uncertain. Why? They're going to give more, right? Obviously. Sometimes entitlement is learned from being overindulged. Sometimes it is learned, maybe people say overindulged. Sometimes they just want to yeah, it's basically being spoiled. Sometimes it is learned from survival mode. Sometimes it is learned from culture. Sometimes it is straight selfishness. The key sign is not that they receive. The key sign is that they receive without regard. Number 14, the transactional fog. Soft sugar, hard denial without labels, or without labels. Now, this is the part you want, and it matters. Sometimes relationships become transactional without anyone naming it. One person gives money, gifts, rides, favors, time, attention, emotional support. The other person gives presence, flirtation, proximity, maybe affection, maybe intimacy, maybe just access to them. But because it is not named, the giver cannot ask for standards without feeling guilty, and the receiver cannot deny obligation without feeling wrong. Ambiguity protects the receiver and traps the giver. This is why some people chase. They think the next gift will finally flip the switch. Oh man. But the next big gesture will finally create acknowledgement. The next sacrifice will finally be seen. But acknowledgement is not purchased. It is a character. If the person does not acknowledge small things, big things will not fix it. They will just get used. They'll get used to bigger and better. Yeah. 15. The social life reality. Multiple giving seasons, repeated cycles. Now remember what you said. I can't say who said. Anyway, check it out. This happens multiple times a year for everyone, most people, if you pay attention. There are predictable reasons or seasons of giving. Holidays, birthdays, life events, graduations, promotions, hard times, family crisis, illness, kids' needs, emergencies, even weather, even winter, even back to school. So this is not a one-time issue. This is a repeating pattern, which means if someone has a gratitude gap, you will feel it over and over. If someone has a compulsive giving pattern, it will repeat over and over. If someone has an extraction pattern, it will repeat over and over. This is why you need principles, not reaction, because you cannot negotiate this from scratch every season. Nah, you can't afford it. You need standard. You need a standard. 16. How people feel after giving and why regret appears later. After giving, people feel different things depending on the motive, right? Clean givers feel warmth, satisfaction, calm, no need to chase a response, but appreciate acknowledgement. Honestly, yeah, that sounds like the best thing I would say right there. Let me read that again. Clean givers feel warmth, true. Satisfaction, job well done, you've helped, you've given. Calm, no need to chase a response. You don't care. You're good, you did your part. Appreciates acknowledgement. Of course, you appreciate a thank you. That's it. Anxious givers feel temporary relief. They worry, they then checking behaviors, then the rumination, then the resentment if nothing comes back. Guilt givers feel relief, then distance. Ugh. Because now they can stop thinking about the person, which can confuse the receiver. Control givers feel power. They're then anger if not obeyed, because the gift was not a gift, it was leverage. Status givers feel pride if seen, then emptiness if unnoticed. After receiving, people also feel different things. Secure receivers feel appreciation and is likely to acknowledge. Avoidant receivers feel pressure, so they may withdraw. Entitled receivers feel confirmation and may escalate. Overwhelmed receivers feel gratitude, but may forget to express it. User receivers feel satisfaction and keep the door open just enough. The emotional patterns create the story people tell themselves. We only got 4 more, guys. The silence moment. What the giver's mind does and why it spirals. When there is no acknowledgement, the giver's mind tries to solve the puzzle. It asks, did they notice, first of all? Do they care? Did I do too much? Do they expect more? Did I misread? Am I being used? Yes, these are normal feelings when there's silence after giving. Am I childish for wanting a thanks? Like, isn't that normal? Or am I a bad person because I expected a thank you? As I said, in that pizza shop, I felt no way. Even, as a new college student, I felt good to help somebody, even if, every once in a while you want to doubt pops up in your head saying, man, maybe that guy knew, and he just preys on every young teenager he sees at the thing and just sees he can just take their food. Nah. Should I stop giving? If I stop giving, will they disappear? This mental loop is exhausting because it is not just about the gift, it is about your standing in the relationship. And are you standing in a relationship? 18, how to address it without sounding needy or accusatory. If you want to speak about it, the key is to speak about the dynamic, not the person's character. You can say, I noticed I have been doing a lot of giving in this connection, and I want to make sure it is landing the right way. You can say, I do not need a big reaction, but acknowledgement matters to me because it helps me feel that what I do is actually seen. Sometimes you don't know. One time I gave somebody something and I was worried that they lost it before they even got it because they said nothing. I was like, oh, that was like the only stress. Everything else was sweet, except for the fact that, maybe I tucked it in too good. Anyhow, you can say, I am happy to be supportive, but I need mutual effort, even if it is in different forms. This is not begging for praise. This is setting a social norm, right? The receipt test. 30 days, not a game, and a diagnostic. Listen, let's test this. Stop giving for 30 days. Can you do it? You're just testing something. Not cold, not rude, not dramatic. Just pause the extras. Maintain normal kindness, normal respect, normal communication if it exists. But remove the extras, the perks. Then observe what remains. Do they still initiate? Do they still show warmth? Do they still ask about you? Do they still contribute effort? Do they still make time? Do they still respect you? If the connection dissolves, it was perk-based. If the connection remains, you have something real. And you can clarify from there. 20, boundaries that create respect, not manipulation. Boundaries are not revenge. Boundaries are structure. You are allowed to say, I am not comfortable doing boyfriend level giving in an undefined connection. You are allowed to say, I am not comfortable doing girlfriend level support without mutual care. You are allowed to say, I do not do ambiguous exchange. Either we are building something or we are keeping it equal at your level. A boundary does not force anyone. It is simply removes access to what you were giving without clarity. All right, and last one. Closing principle, I guess. What to remember in every season or whenever you're giving. People think, season? What do you mean season? A season can just be a time. It doesn't have to be like Christmas. It doesn't have to be winter or summer. You know what I'm saying? It's just a season. There you go. Got something. Okay. Here's the evergreen rule, as they say. If a person wants partner benefits, they should offer partner effort, right? If a person wants transactional benefits, it should be named, agreed, and honest. If a person wants friendship, it stays balanced and not one-sided. If a person cannot even afford acknowledgement, then the real issue is not the money or the gifts. The issue is the character. Yeah. Capacity or avoidance. And none of those are solved by giving more. Yeah, don't just keep giving. If it's affecting you, especially. If it's not affecting you when you're just giving and you know you're doing something, even though the person doesn't say anything, feel free. Just make sure you're taking care of yourself as well. And you're not just giving till you don't have anything and until you owe constantly. It's not a good look, guys. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's about it. I guess I could possibly say about this. So let me just close this off. Listen, if this episode hit a nerve, it is probably because you have lived the silent moment. You did something meaningful, maybe big, maybe small, and it vanished into thin air as if it never happened and as if you don't matter. And you were left holding the emotional weight of it all alone. This is not you being sensitive. This is your nervous system recognizing as an imbalance that your logic keeps trying to excuse. The most important thing to understand is that giving is not just a behavior, it is a language. But people speak different languages, right? Different dialects. Some people speak effort, some people speak words. Some people speak time, some people speak touch. Some people speak distance, some people speak survival. And when your giving is interpreted through the wrong lens, you can say ending up in a relationship where your kindness becomes invisible. Also, be honest with yourself about why you give, right? Yeah, that's the thing that, in hindsight, people can take a lot of the time. People accept nuance in present days just to allow them space to do different things. But when history shows us, we tend to hold those people accountable to whatever the rule is without nuance. It's kind of hypocritical. Now, sometimes you give from love, and that is clean. Sometimes you give from anxiety, and that is a signal you need clarity and worrisome. Sometimes you give from guilt because you cannot silence your conscience until you have done the deed, and that is not bad, but it is not free either. If giving is the thing that lets you stop thinking about it, we can stop thinking about someone, then the gift was for your peace, not for their heart. And on the other side, of course, do not automatically assume silence means cruelty, but do not automatically excuse it either. Come on. Somebody opens the door for you, you say thank you. That's just how it's supposed to be done. Silence might be evidence, silence might be entitlement, silence might be overwhelm, silence might be strategy. The point is, whatever the reason, repeated silence is information. It will tell you what the person is capable of offering and what they are not. Or why they don't think it's valuable to them, maybe. The way forward is not to become colder. The way forward is to become clearer. Clarity prevents resentment. Clarity prevents people from benefiting from you without knowing the terms. Clarity prevents you from being giving in a way that quietly drains you. You do not need to punish anyone. You just need to stop operating in fog. So here is the last line, the one you can carry into every session of giving, every year, every cycle. If someone wants partner benefits, they should offer partner effort. If someone wants transactional benefits, it should be it should be named, agreed, honest. If someone wants friendship, it should stay balanced. If someone cannot afford acknowledgement, then giving more will not teach them to respect you. It will only teach them how much you will tolerate. And here, guys, this is You're Probably Right. And if you have felt the silence of generosity, you are not crazy. You're not alone. You are noticing something real. Keep your heart, keep your hand, keep your standards, keep your clarity. You probably need all three. And here, guys, till next time, hopefully this is episode that would help you or has helped you to look at it differently. Sometimes, yes, we do look at people as just being rude when they don't say thank you. So anyways, just hopefully it gave you another angle, so maybe you can just give them a break for a little bit longer, you know what I mean? Anyhow, till next time, this is MCM and I'm signing off. This is You're Probably Right. Take care. Hey, come check out You're Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 dogs. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while, understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.